Hi, I'm Olivia.
Hi, I'm Maggie.
And this is Girls Talk Film. This is a podcast about movies, but today it's actually about TV.
We're doing another TV time episode.
Yes, to celebrate the release of Euphoria Season 3, which when we're filming this is tonight.
Yes, I was going to say, I think it's premiering today or later tonight.
I mean, now I'm like really excited to watch it since
Since we're rewatching it right now.
we're rewatching it to celebrate the release of the third season. We just watched season 1 and we wanted to do a little recap, review, possible roast. To celebrate the release.
Euphoria did so much in pop culture. It really had a strong impact in like TV, in the actors that are in it. Like,
it was a moment.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember in college, I went to at least 3 Euphoria themed parties.
I did a Euphoria themed photo shoot in college.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did.
I would say that the visual style of the show is by far its strongest point.
Season 1 of Euphoria is genuinely gorgeous. It is so unique in its style
and so creative with how the camera is used.
Yes.
There are so many incredibly choreographed shots that left me kind of struck with with like how they were conceptualized.
I mean, it's clearly like inspired by that like cyberpunk aesthetic in some sort of way, with kind of this like trashy California-based club feel.
And you know, they never confirm that the show takes place in California.
Yes.
It's quite obviously takes place in
California.
California.
It has to be at least on the West Coast. There's nowhere on the East Coast that's like that.
I think the idea was that it's every town.
Okay.
Which, I mean, that is probably my biggest issue with the show, is that it is not really realistic at all to actual teenagers.
I love the memes of like regular person going to Euphoria High.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to lie, there were a few times I was watching an episode and I was like, I am weak because I could not imagine myself in this scenario. I would be busting my ass. Like I would be laughing so hard at these characters and these insane batshit situations. Like, what do you mean you're reciting Shakespeare at a house party in a pool?
Yeah.
Like, you're a fucking loser.
You know, just like as every 16-year-old does.
Exactly. Like, could you imagine us in the corner of that party? We would be like, what the fuck are those two doing in the pool?
So Euphoria premiered on HBO in June 2019. It was created by Sam Levinson, famously, who also serves as the sole writer, which is, if anyone has any knowledge of television, knows that that is highly, highly unusual for one person to be the sole writer of a show. Usually there is a team of writers. And he's also the showrunner and also directed most of the episodes. So this is very much Sam Levinson's vision. It is loosely based on the 2012 Israeli series of the same name, but I've also heard that it's really just a completely different show. It's a remake in name only. He is pretty explicit with the fact that the main character, Rue, who's played by Zendaya, is largely based off of himself.
Right, and his own journey with drug addiction.
Yes.
Okay. That I when I saw that in our notes, I was like, oh, I thought that was like his whole thing was like, it's so personal to him.
Which I mean I can imagine why Rue is treated with the most sensitivity out of all of the characters and probably given the most interiority out of everybody.
I mean, she is really our main she's our narrator.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Euphoria, in summary, follows a group of high school students navigating the complexities of adolescence, addiction, relationships, and identity overall. Season 1 has a pretty consistent opening device, which is every episode begins with a prologue that is almost like a mini biography about one of the main characters.
Similar to Skins, if anyone has watched Skins, which is another, I mean, in my opinion, it's a superior high school television
a better
show.
Euphoria?
Like, low-key, yeah. With really, really great writing. And I think the plot lines are they're still a little outlandish sometimes, but I think a bit more realistic to what teenagers actually go through. And like that show, Euphoria kind of focuses a little more on one specific character in each episode. So, just to go through kind of our main players before we get into the plot, Rue, who's played by Zendaya, as we said, is the main character. She is a high school junior who struggles with addiction to mostly prescription medication.
Next is Jules Vaughn, who is played by Hunter Schafer. Jules is the new kid at school. She is a trans girl, and she is kind of like our new fish in the pond.
Yeah.
And she develops we'll go into it. She develops like a very close bond with Rue very quickly.
They have like that theater kid friendship where it's like, are they just weirdly close or is it romantic? But like they're both kind of obsessed with each other.
They're that meme of like the two aliens like touching heads. Do you know what I mean? That's like kind of what they are in this season.
100%. So Rue's best friend from childhood is Lexi Howard, who is played by Maude Apatow. And Lexi's just like kind of a good girl. We never get a ton of insight into their friendship in season 1, honestly.
Honestly, she's such a like it alarmed me how much of a nothing character she is in season 1.
Presented like she is more important than she actually is. Like in episode 1, I feel like she has some stuff to do, and then the rest of the show kind of sidelines her.
Yeah.
But her sister is Cassie Howard, who's played by Sydney Sweeney. And Cassie is, I want to say Cassie is a senior, right?
Cassie's 1 year older than Lexi. I don't know what grade they're supposed to be. I think they're all juniors. Either way, they're all older in high school.
Yeah. And Cassie is like that really pretty girl who can't be without a boyfriend. She kind of bases her self-worth off of what guys think of her, but she's kind of a sweetheart. Cassie in season 1 is dating Chris McKay, who's played by Algie Smith, and Chris is a graduate. Like he's just
freshman
graduated.
in college.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they sort of like start a romance the summer before he goes to college. He was a football star, really popular. He's a jock, but we learn as the season goes on that he's like under a lot of pressure from his father.
So McKay is friends with Nate Jacobs, who is like the it boy at Euphoria High.
And also like our villain.
Yes, our antagonist. He's played by Jacob Elordi. And the best way to describe Nate is he is like typical, like douchey jock, star quarterback, comes from like Republican, super like conservative family, and he's like,
I mean, are they, or are they just like deeply emotionally repressed?
Well,
like,
can it be both?
Yeah,
it's usually one or the other, or if not both. Yeah, and Nate is dating Maddie Perez, who is played by Alexa Demi, and Maddie is like kind of this like super intimidating, confident, a little like unhinged, I think, is part of her reputation.
Yeah, she's like bitchy, but she's not like a bitch.
Yes.
She's kind of, I don't know, like she has all the traits of a mean girl, but like none of the real malice.
And Nate and Maddie are that couple in high school that like break up every 2 days and then get back together.
Yeah.
And then they break up and then they get back together, and they're like the most toxic couple you've ever seen, but like they also kind of like match each other perfectly.
Yeah. And then also friends with Cassie and Maddie, they're like kind of a clique, is Kat, who is played by Barbie Ferreira. And Kat is maybe a little bit of the outsider in her group. She's like a little nerdier. She's a little quieter.
She's a heavier girl. That's like a very important part of her character.
And maybe like tries to emotionally make herself small with like around the bigger personalities.
Yeah, she kind of follows Maddie and Cassie, but she's always kind of like the one that's forgotten.
Yes.
Yeah.
So those are kind of our main characters, would you say?
I would say the only one we didn't include is Fezco, who's played by Angus Cloud, but he is kind of like not super involved in our main plot line in season 1. He is more so a character that just kind of consistently comes up in the episodes.
Mostly in Rue's plots.
Yes.
He is Rue's drug dealer with a heart of gold.
Yes.
Before we begin, I also think that I really want to acknowledge the incredible music in the show.
Come on.
Because we've talked about the visuals. I feel like we have to talk about the music. The score and soundtrack was composed entirely for the show by Labyrinth, who is a DJ, who makes electronic music. The entire show has this really incredible electronic score that's like often infused with gospel and orchestral sounds. It is so grand and epic.
Literally, like, my second note in the entire rundown is this score / soundtrack is so specifically perfect.
It is so good.
So incredible. I mean, it puts you so in that like 2019, 2018 like mindset when season 1 came out. I think it's so well done. Controversially, apparently Labyrinth is not in season 3.
I heard.
Which really
and has been outspoken about the fact that there was an issue between him and Sam Levinson, and that's why he's not doing the music for season 3.
Which, like, I mean,
I don't even know what the show's gonna be without Labyrinth.
I know it, like you said, it's such a character in its own way, especially,
and the music is so infused into everything about the show.
I mean, we'll get to it, but that finale, I mean, specifically with Rue's character, when that soundtrack comes up, it follows her narrative so perfectly. It almost tells a story about her addiction.
I also think it's important to acknowledge before we dive into the episodes the crazy amount of controversy that the show dredged up when it was first released. I mean, anytime there's anything depicting teenagers in a non-Disneyfied way, there's always like the Guardian article about like how parents are so worried about their kids after watching this show. Do I think that there is far too much shock value content, especially for a show involving teenagers? Yes.
I'd agree. Yeah.
I think that there are a decent amount of scenes, a handful of scenes and plot lines that I think the show would have benefited from omitting.
Right. I mean, there's a lot of debate over this because a lot of people are like, well, you know, you're ignorant if you think like high school students aren't like sending nudes or doing this or having sex.
That's not what I'm saying. I feel like,
I agree. Yeah. I'm not saying that either.
I think it's important to acknowledge that in episode 1, I think Rue and Lexi are the only female characters that we don't see either naked or in a sex scene.
I think a lot of people will jump to the defense that like, oh, well, you know, high school students, like, this is what they do. And it's like, okay, but no, it's not. There is a reason why Euphoria High is so memed on because like some of the shit that they do is absolutely insane. Like, there's so many points where it's just so unnecessary. Like, characters are having sex, and you can absolutely imply that characters have sex or even show a sex scene without showing so much nudity.
Yeah.
There are other directors that have done it before in a high school or younger setting.
And it's felt not creepy. And
yes.
It's felt appropriate. Like,
it's so voyeuristic.
There is a reason that Euphoria specifically has dredged up that kind of controversy where a lot of other shows involving teenagers that are more explicit about sexual activity and drug use or whatever, those shows have not dredged up this much controversy. Like, there's a reason that so much of it is focused on Euphoria, and I think that we do need to acknowledge that some of it is voyeuristic and some of it is for shock value. Okay, so let's jump in. Episode 1 centers around Rue, which means that our prologue kind of focuses on Rue's childhood and the important events in her young life. So in the prologue, we see Rue's long struggle with OCD and depression, her father's untimely death from cancer, and how she begins self-medicating as a teen with drugs and alcohol. After a near-fatal prescription overdose, she ends up spending the summer before junior year in rehab.
We meet present-day Rue on the day that she is released from rehab. However, through voiceover, she says she has no intention of staying clean and then immediately seeks out her old dealer, Fezco, who, again, is played by Angus Cloud, to buy some pills. At home, she lies to her worried mother and convinces Lexi, who, again, is her childhood friend, to provide a urine sample so she can pass an at-home drug test, which her mother, like, insists upon.
Yeah, and the show kind of on and off deals with how her addiction is affecting her family. Her mother is obviously incredibly worried about her, and this whole thing is like very traumatizing to like watch your kid go through this and constantly having to be on her back about it. Rue also has a little sister who, I'm not gonna lie, I find incredibly annoying in the show.
Wait, why? She's like barely in it.
Yeah, but every time we see her, she's doing the same stupid crying face.
Damn, girl.
She's played by Storm Reed and kind of just exists to like be a device to make Rue feel guilty about her addiction.
I think Rue's family is there more as a device to show like this is what drug addiction can do to the people you love.
Agreed. Her mother is just given like a little more character than her sister is given. So we also meet Jules, who is the new girl in town, and Fezco tells Rue that she should be friends with her and she looks like Sailor Moon, which she kind of does.
I love her style in this.
It's
and her
so
like
great.
Bleach blonde hair. Oh my god, she's such an it girl.
No, she really is. Also, Hunter Schafer like has aura. She really does. Like,
she glows on that screen.
She has presence in a way that like actors dream to have presence.
We're not going to talk about season 2, but I hate what they do with her physical like look in season 2.
Agreed.
Her first look in season 1 is so good.
So Jules has been attending summer school with Kat, and Kat invites her to a party thrown by the popular college freshman Chris McKay. Jules initially turns down the invite because she has plans that night to meet up with a mystery man from a dating app who goes by the extremely threatening alias Dominant Daddy. Jules arrives at a motel, which is immediately like terrifying looking.
So
like,
threatening.
It's all dark and
so seedy and gross. Ugh.
And she starts to have second thoughts about meeting up with this guy, but decides to go through with it anyway. The encounter is awkward and completely unpleasant. The guy is played by Eric Dane, and he rips her tights, is forceful with her in a way that she does not enjoy, and then leaves to take a shower. When he's in the shower, Jules looks at his cell phone and sees that the lock screen is a portrait of him with what looks like his family, and she's very upset by the entire thing. But that I think is what makes her go like, okay, I'm like gonna leave now, and she gets up and leaves and decides to actually attend the party that Kat invited her to.
So this party is the centerpiece of the episode, if you will, where basically all the main players' storylines start to intersect. McKay has just started to date Cassie, but is having second thoughts after his friend, Nate Jacobs, mocks her over these leaked nudes that she's had. So Cassie kind of has this reputation in school for like being a huge slut because she had nudes and like a sex tape leaked.
Yeah, we later find out were her ex-boyfriends who leaked all of this stuff. And then, of course, because it's high school, this is, I guess, realistic to high school that there's like, you know, all the guys just have these videos.
Oh,
and
that's probably the most realistic part in my opinion.
Yeah, no, agreed. That whole scene where they're like basically taunting McKay and like, oh, like watch the video. I found that very disturbing.
Yeah, that's what I mean, where it's like I really enjoy the show when it talks about topics like that because
that is real.
That is so real in high school. And it is something that like I think to the argument of like this is what happens in high school, that is something that like parents don't want to admit is happening and would rather turn a blind eye. So that's where like more of the controversy comes in. But also any high school student would be like, no, that's actually really realistic. And like it ruins people's lives.
So Nate is really on edge because his ex-girlfriend Maddie is in attendance at the party, and to make him jealous, she publicly hooks up with this guy named Tyler in McKay's pool, and Tyler's just like this random guy.
He's literally just like a friend.
He's like a friend of a friend
from
of a friend.
College.
Yeah. Kat, who arrived with Maddie, also decides to lose her virginity at the party. She feels like all of her friends are hooking up, and she feels like she's being left behind, and she kind of
totally another like realistic high school thing.
Yeah. So she's just like, whatever, it's going to be with this guy. Like, cool. And decides to kind of like get it over with as you will. Rue kind of just like weaves around all the drama, trying to get as drunk and high as possible. And that's where we get that incredible scene in the hallway.
So beautiful. I mean, the cinematography has been like really cool and really interesting up to now. When they did that shot,
what it is.
So basically Rue is high and she's walking through like the upstairs hallway of this house party, and the room quite literally starts rotating, and she is like stumbling through the walls, but everyone around her is like rotating with the room. So it's kind of giving this very disorienting hallucinogenic kind of feel where she is feeling the room spin. She's quite literally getting the spins.
Yeah.
And I was watching that literally 3 times being like, okay, how exactly did they do that? Like, I'm watching, I'm like, is everyone on a rig behind her?
I can tell you how they did it.
Please.
So obviously the hallway was like a set, like just like the hallway.
Yeah.
And everyone else was basically strapped down to the floor, and they physically rotated the room with everyone sort of strapped into their quote unquote standing positions on the floor.
But everyone's hair stays perfectly still too. So
I
have to
think they
imagine
did that with CGI.
That's what I have to imagine. But I was watching and I was like, there's no way that this is CGI because look at all the stuff she's touching in the room.
But no, they did do it practically. The room actually did turn over, and Zendaya
gorgeous.
tried to continue walking through. Like, that is real.
It is literally stunning.
And just like the vision of that visual is honest. I would even say the best moment of the episode, possibly the whole season.
Oh yeah. It was really, really impressive, especially for the first episode. You walk in being like, oh, okay, this is going to have great cinematography. Mm-hmm. So when Jules arrives to the party, Nate, who is like all pissed off about Maddie getting in this pool with someone else, drunkenly harasses and intimidates her, mainly because she is trans. And Nate
also
is
the way I'm like, how could you tell? Like,
no, literally,
Hunter Schafer does not appear
present
trans
any
at all.
Not even a little bit.
So like his ability to clock her, I was kind of just like, how? Like,
I mean,
literally how?
I guess the only thing that I could like allude to is that Jules has a very like unique look, so maybe like he's more kind of targeting her because she kind of dresses weird
and she's like someone who nobody knows.
Yeah,
possibly. But I was just like, there's no way no way he would just like be able to tell.
No, there's no way from a first look you could tell. So he starts harassing her and she actually threatens him with a knife before cutting her own arm, which like obviously kind of makes the scene at the party. She basically does it to be like, yeah, you don't know what the fuck I'm capable of.
Honestly, it worked.
It does work. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he backs off.
So Jules runs out of the party, and Rue, who had kind of like spotted her earlier and was kind of like watching this whole thing go down, runs after her. They introduce themselves and they end up biking home together and kind of signaling that their friendship is budding, which we then see, which is a big thread throughout the season. The episode ends, though, with Nate returning home and encountering his father, Cal, and then we realize that Cal is the guy that Jules hooked up with in the motel. And that's the note that the episode ends on.
Really good first episode.
I thought it was a good first episode. It is, I mean, we'll talk about this. It is plainly obvious, and I looked it up to confirm that episode 1 was filmed as a proof of concept before they got the green light to film the rest of the season. The main change from episode 1 to episode 2 is Nate's character.
Oh my God. It's hilarious how
it is
like
night
insane.
And day.
Yeah. He's like douchey frat bro, like stereotypical high school jock in episode 1. He is like Jason Bourne in episode 2.
No, he becomes like this stoic super villain, like
genuinely like a sociopath.
Of evil.
Yeah,
when like he's just kind of a douche in episode 1, and then moving forward he's like this super like moody,
he's like playing 3D
guy.
chess. He's like 4 moves ahead of everybody else, and you're like, what the fuck is Nate Jacobs doing?
And it's the moment episode 2 like begins and we start to spend some time with Nate, it's like, wait, who's this guy?
Right.
Like,
what happened to douchey frat bro?
What happened to the guy
1?
like jeweling and calling everyone bro? Like,
that is something. It's a little obvious with Nate's character in the first episode, but it's kind of like a thing throughout most of the season. Is sometimes sometimes the dialogue is very plainly older man writing high school students.
Yeah. So episode 2 follows Nate. We get a prologue about his childhood. As an 11-year-old, Nate went snooping in his father's office and discovered a collection of tapes showing his father having intimate relations with young men and trans women. This discovery is obviously incredibly disturbing to him. And also when I say like the tapes very much are like, they're extremely explicit. They show his...
They're basically pornography.
They are porno.
They follow like
they
a
are
script.
Homemade pornography.
Yes.
And Nate finds this at like a young, impressionable age, and also discovers that his father is not
leading this double life.
And is like bisexual or gay or whatever it is. We don't actually get confirmation, I believe, of like
all we know
his
is that
father's
it's
sexuality
secret.
is. Yeah.
Yeah.
And this discovery really disturbs him and becomes very central to the way that he develops. He grows into this hyper-controlled, image-conscious, deeply rageful young man who is obsessed with projecting an image of like security and masculinity.
Yes. He's like the definition of like toxic masculinity.
Yeah. But in a way where it's like he so internalized his father's secret, which he discovered at such an impressionable age, that it's like, okay, so my father can't be like this stand-up guy, so I have to be like the most masculine, the most like straight,
right,
the most like whatever.
Yeah, basically like the top dog.
Exactly, to like prove that this is who we are.
So back in the present, the episode picks up after the fallout from McKay's party the night before. Rue returns to school for the first day of junior year in an unusually good mood because of this new friendship she has with Jules, who she has grown like pretty obsessed with very quickly. Mm-hmm. However, when a teacher asks her to talk about what she did over the summer, she breaks down crying in the front of class. Why on earth would this teacher... So basically the teacher's like, let's all go around the room and talk about what we did this summer. And no one kind of raised their hand. And she calls out Rue. I'm like, there is no way that teacher didn't know that Rue went to rehab. That is something that like you find out as a teacher. Like,
but it is also like the first day.
I'm just saying that is 100% something that the board would tell like all of Rue's teachers. Like this, as someone who works at a school, that is 1,000,000,000% that teacher knew. And that is so fucked up that she was like, Rue, you go first.
Wait, that is funny.
And she has to get up and do it for the whole class.
Yeah.
It's so fucked. We learn that Rue's addiction began after her father became very ill. She started taking his prescribed oxycodone, which, is obviously an opioid. And she quickly became dependent on the feeling of relief that it gave her, especially because, again, she suffers from like extreme OCD, bipolar, depression. And that's a big thing that they point out in the show is like Rue's mind is constantly working against her.
And she feels like the drugs are the only things that help her quiet those voices.
Exactly.
But then also when she's not on the drugs, she's going through withdrawal. Like it's this horrible cycle of drug abuse, which is very realistic, I believe, to anyone who struggled with that. Mm-hmm. So meanwhile, Nate and Maddie have gotten back together, but Nate is still fuming over what happened between Maddie and Tyler at the party. Maddie, as like a cop-out, tells Nate that she blacked out that night, which also I will just say, this is an example of like shock, of like the Euphoria shock value. Everything we know and come to know about Maddie shows that she is not the type of person that would like publicly hook up with someone in a pool in front of people. Like people had cameras out. Mm-hmm. Like she is not that girl.
Right. That's not her character.
No. And then to kind of just like brush over that, we never hear anything about like any of the footage that was taken that night, anything like that. I don't know. I think it's like you wanted to put another sex scene in the show, Sam Levinson, and like decided to do that. She could have made him jealous in like a less explicit way.
Or they could have just like had sex in a room in the house.
Yeah, and I feel I would have bought that.
Yeah, totally.
It was just like the public nature of it. And also when we learn about Maddie, it's just like Maddie would never do that. Like I have a hard time buying that this character would do that.
I believe you.
So Maddie tells Nate she blacked out, and Nate uses that excuse to construct a version of events in which Tyler assaulted her. Like
this is where he becomes like Batman.
Yeah.
He turns into this like vigilante. It's fucking insane.
So he tracks Tyler down to his apartment and beats him within an inch of his life and forces him to confess to assaulting Maddie when it was not assault.
No.
If anything, like Maddie was the aggressor.
Yeah, Maddie was
situation.
coming on to him. I wrote in my notes, I go, why is he Jason Bourning while everyone is literally just living their high school lives? Like everyone's like, I gotta get to math and all this stuff. And then he is like literally stalking and breaking into this guy's apartment. Mm-hmm. The cat, who is Maddie's friend, deals with the aftermath of losing her virginity at the party. A video of the encounter has been anonymously posted online, which like
nightmare.
Literally my worst nightmare.
Yeah.
Although she's initially embarrassed and obviously upset, she gets a perverse kind of validation from seeing comments on the video about like how sexy she is. Like it's all these like, you know, gross perverts being like, you're so beautiful, I wish I could have you, and oh my god, you're a goddess. I find Kat's character so deeply relatable. In I would say she's probably the most relatable character.
100%. The main thing that I take issue with in season 1 of Euphoria is how Kat's plotline is handled.
Totally.
As I mean, we'll get into it in a second, but Kat basically begins camming online as a way to kind of like get the validation that she's never received before, or that she feels like she's never received before.
Yeah, she finds this like online community that like finds her hot, and so she wants to get more validation from them.
And I just 100% think that Kat's arc could have stayed almost exactly the same if that part was omitted. I think having an underage character participate in sex work is an irresponsible thing to show without ever really diving into like the potential consequences of that.
Oh, they never ever address it. It's insane.
And I think that someone like a young viewer who is not incredibly media literate very well could view this show and think that what Kat is doing is framed as empowering to her. And when you watch the whole show, that's not really what it is. It's showing that she is misguided in her attempts to
it comes from a sense
get
of
validation.
Insecurity.
It's coming from insecurity, absolutely, which are all relatable feelings to young people. But there are a stretch of episodes where we see Kat kind of coming out of her shell because of the confidence she's gained from doing this. And I think that that is a genuinely irresponsible thing to show in a show that is geared at younger viewers.
Totally, especially like how she's financially benefiting from it, and in this whole culture day where it's like get your bag.
Yeah.
I totally agree with you. I think it's very irresponsible to show a young audience without ever showing any type of backlash.
And it's just a real shame because other than that plot line, her character is one of my favorite characters.
Kat has the best arc easily in the show.
She has the most cohesive arc in the whole show. I find all of the details about her character extremely relatable. She is played wonderfully by Barbie Ferreira.
Yeah.
Actually, like shockingly, because I kind of the only thing I remembered about season 1 was that I hated that plot line so much. Even as a young person, I was like, that's kind of not cool to show. And I feel like you're just doing this to like add another shock value thing in. But watching it again this time, I'm like, wait, I actually love this character. And I like the arc I love her arc.
It's so cohesive. It's so good.
I actually just think if you omitted the camming part of it, her arc could have stayed exactly the same.
Yeah, totally. You could
really
have totally plucked it out. Yeah.
So Cassie and McKay's relationship also continues to develop. McKay really likes her, but he's increasingly uncomfortable with the way that other people talk about her and kind of projects it onto her in a not cool way.
Yeah, this is another plot line I really enjoyed.
Same.
Something I found very relatable. Jules's plot line is sidelined a little bit, but this episode sets up one of the most important threads of the entire season.
Yeah.
She starts texting with someone from a dating app who seems to be this like very genuine, shy, but like down to earth guy. He goes by the name Tyler. However, by the end of the episode, it is revealed that Tyler is actually Nate.
Playing chess.
Playing 3D chess, motherfucker.
Like, who are you?
Yes, and he is catfishing Jules.
Ooh. I mean, the reveal is good, but it is just like, okay, you are a different character than you were in episode 1. Like, who is this guy?
Like, the whole episode, he's just scheming.
Yeah.
Like, literally, that's all he's doing.
And then he just is, like, that's who he is now. Like, he's this, like, scheming supervillain who, like, kind of just is the embodiment of evil.
Yeah. It's funny, too, because Nate is actually, like, one of my favorite characters in the show.
Same. I just think it's funny.
The switch
up on him. But I do like this version of him. And I think that Jacob Elordi is one of the strongest actors in the whole show. He does an incredible job with this character. So episode 3 is Kat's episode. We begin with a prologue about her childhood. And it's one of my favorite, openings.
Same.
to any episode. I think they really found the humor in it. We see that Kat was a really confident and happy kid until a sudden weight gain changed the way that people treated her and the way that she saw herself. As she gets older, she retreats more and more into online spaces, and she becomes a popular Larry Stylinson fan fiction writer.
Which got the show a lot of hate because I'm pretty
Which
sure
is so dumb because the Larry Stylinson fan fiction community was so
so
large.
big. I mean, I think
It's one of the more realistic details about the show.
I don't remember. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure either Louis Tomlinson or Harry Styles was like, what the fuck? Like, this is so disrespectful to like put into a main show.
Okay, like fine, but also all they're doing is like acknowledging that the fan fiction was a thing, which it was.
Right. I don't have that strong of an opinion on it
Yeah.
personally, but I do have to say I remember when the show was coming out,
Oh, I
that
didn't
was
know
like a
that.
big deal.
And her sort of online anonymous fame gives her an escape from her insecurities. This background just gives us a lot of insight into Kat's complicated relationship with her own self-worth and her own appearance and how she values attention.
In the present day, Rue is still pretending she's sober, but the act is very quickly starting to slip. At a Narcotics Anonymous meeting, she claims she's been sober for 60 days. But a man named Ali, who's played by Coleman Domingo, who is fantastic in this show.
Brings a lot of heart and warmth to his character.
I also forgot he was in it completely.
Same.
Like, he showed up and I was like, is that Coleman Domingo? So Ali calls her out for lying. Rue is rattled by the interaction since Ali is like the first adult to see through her bullshit. Yeah.
Rue and Jules have also grown a lot closer, but their bond is like already under strain. They've been friends for like 2 months. And
Yeah.
And there's already some stressors there. Jules asks Rue to help her take nude photos of herself after, quote unquote, Tyler sends her a dick pic, which leads to one of the funnier scenes in the show about there's this whole sort of one-off montage where Rue explains what makes a good dick pic.
Rue has moments where she kind of goes on these like tangents in her narration, and I do like it.
Me too. I did think it was funny about how like you need to look at the room behind it to see if the room is messy.
Yeah. Which is so relatable. Like, it's so true.
I thought it was funny how like yeah. So it's becoming pretty clear that Rue is in love with Jules, and she is getting increasingly jealous over the amount of time that Jules is spending texting Tyler, which is becoming like all the time. Like, they're constantly in contact.
Yes.
However, at the same time, Rue also secretly steals pills from Jules's kitchen cabinet, which kind of undercuts the sweetness of her crush on Jules and their scenes together to show how her addiction is like already poisoning this relationship, which has just started.
So going back in the plot a little bit, Maddie looks through Nate's phone. Remember, he is
Tyler.
catfishing. Yeah, he is catfishing Jules and pretending to be Tyler, and finds multiple pictures of penises. She's really confused by what she sees and starts to question his sexuality. Like, why? Imagine if you
Why would you
went
have
through
all
your
these-
boyfriend's
yeah.
phone and saw like different penises.
And it's like 1 billion photos.
No, it's so many. Like, it's too many. However, Kat reassures her that he could just maybe be bisexual.
Which Maddie is sort of like, okay, but like still weird.
Yeah, no, like, okay, even if he is bisexual, like, we are in a relationship.
Yeah. Kat's plotline follows her, as we kind of discussed earlier. She begins to experiment with camming. After being exposed to the beautiful pleasures of online male attention, she discovers a new kind of power in playing a dominant role with submissive men and finds a sense of confidence in being desired and kind of being in control of how she's desired.
Yeah. Rue and Jules get into an argument after Jules reveals that she plans to meet Tyler alone at night. Shortly after, Rue goes to Jules' house to apologize. Just before we move on, I hate to say it because I know that Rue is like a deeply troubled character. I wrote in my notes, I go, hate to say I would be over Rue if I were her friend.
No, agreed.
Like, when she comes to
Agreed.
Jules' house and she's like near tears and she's like, I just care about you. I'd be like, girl, stop crying. Like, oh my God, okay, I forgive you. So Rue comes over, apologizes, and ends up kissing Jules, but panics and runs out immediately after. Scared that she's now going to lose Jules, Rue visits Fez to buy drugs. However, Fez, who is like afraid of her well-being. I mean, she literally just got out of rehab and now...
And also she's showing up in like a full-on panic attack.
Yeah.
And like, no, now. Like, I need the pills now.
Yeah.
And it's like freaking him out.
Yeah. So Fez refuses to sell her drugs and locks her out of the house. Upset, Rue tearfully blames Fez for her addiction and then finally calls Ali to get pancakes. So she's kind of like reaching out for help and deciding to like give sobriety a chance.
Yeah, which thank God.
Right, that was the right choice.
Yes.
Can we just say really quick, Zendaya's agent needs so much credit.
So true.
This is really the show that took her to the next level.
Yeah.
As an actor. And this scene right here with like her, I mean, okay, I think she's amazing in season 1. I think she is light years ahead in season 2.
Yeah, you can really see how much she developed as an actor between seasons.
But yeah, I mean, this is the show that like took her from like, okay, she was on Disney, now she's doing this movie, and oh, she's got cast in Spider-Man, she was in The Greatest Showman, to like, oh no, she is an actress.
Yes.
And I think you can see it in this monologue she gives at Fezco's door really well.
She is fantastic in that scene, and she's pretty fantastic throughout the entire show, honestly. This is probably my favorite role I've seen Zendaya, and I feel like it's widely acknowledged as her best performance.
Yeah, I think she works really well. You can tell she really cares about the material, at least in the first 2 seasons, because she, again, is killing it. I really don't think... Aside from like Alexa Demi, which I agree she's pretty flat, I don't really think anyone is giving necessarily a bad performance.
No, I think all the actors are really strong in their roles, honestly.
I think I think Jacob Elordi is so good as Nate.
Jacob Elordi is a star.
Yeah.
And like,
this is another one that
reaction
took
to him
to the next level.
100%.
Because keep in mind, he was in the kissing booth before this.
No, exactly. But everyone seeing him in Euphoria, like, everyone saw him in Euphoria and decided like, okay, yeah, he's the next like big leading man for a reason.
Yeah.
Like there's a reason that he became Jacob Elordi after Euphoria.
But
he's a pretty incredible actor. Okay, so episode 4 is Jules's episode. We see that as a child, Jules struggled with depression, self-harm, and gender dysphoria. When she was 11, her mother had her admitted to a psychiatric hospital, which was deeply traumatizing for her. And Jules begins transitioning after her parents separate. It's also indicated that her mom had like a lot of other issues. Like her parents separated and Jules went to live with her dad.
And they say her dad gets full custody of her.
Yes.
So yeah, it seems like the mom kind of spirals at some point. We don't ever know what happens though.
And Rue's voiceover frames a lot of Jules's more risky sexual behavior as part of her attempt to understand herself and to explore her femininity.
I think Jules later in the show says that it's part of her like trying to conquer femininity.
Yes, that's exactly what she says.
Which was a really interesting take. Like watching as like a cis woman, like I guess I never really put that perspective into it.
No, it made her make a lot more sense to me.
Totally.
And again, I know a lot of people took issue with that scene in the first episode. I do think it was graphic. I do also think though that it sent quite a clear message of like, this is a young girl in a space that she does not belong in. And I think that message was clear. And I think that Jules's sexuality is handled is one of the more responsible ways a character's sexuality is handled throughout the show.
So in the present day, Rue is trying to stay clean. Jules basically made her promise to try to stay clean. But Ali warns her that she may be turning Jules into this like new kind of obsession, which she totally is.
100% is.
Rue shrugs him off, but it hangs over her for the rest of the episode. I mean, Ali is like literally calling her out. He's like, so what do you do if like Jules isn't in love with you?
Yeah.
Or Jules moves away? And he makes such a great point. He's like, nothing in high school lasts forever. So kind of like you are setting yourself up for failure if the only reason you are staying clean is for her. And she basically is like, yeah, you might be right, but I'm like just hoping that you're not, which is like so dangerous.
So the majority of episode 4, which is probably my favorite episode of the season.
I literally wrote carnival episode is peak, no questions asked.
It takes place at the town carnival. And just to give Sam Levinson a little bit of credit, the way that the camera moves moves through the carnival between characters, I just thought it was so impressively choreographed. Like I could not even imagine the work that went into
No, and
doing
also
this.
I fucking love the music when they're at the carnival.
So good. It's tense.
Yes.
It's anticipatory.
I think it's my favorite episode because all of the plot points are happening all at once and they're weaving throughout so well.
So Rue and Jules are going to the carnival together. They've kind of decided to ignore the kiss and like just move past it and not acknowledge it, which good for them.
Right. I could not.
Yeah, I would do the same. But Rue is stuck looking after her little sister Gia at the carnival. So she kind of is like wants to be there fully with Jules, but also is like still kind of stuck worrying about her sister.
Cassie and McKay arrive at the carnival together, and Cassie realizes that McKay has not publicly claimed her as his girlfriend.
It is the most heart-wrenching
awful.
scene where they go up to Nate, and Nate's like, oh, what? So, like, are you two together? And McKay's like, yeah, we're just hanging out. And they're in, like, a serious relationship.
He told her that he loved her.
Yeah.
And she's like, what the fuck? You just told me that you loved me.
Yeah.
And he kind of is like, I mean, it's not that. And then he tries to, like, basically imply that she's a slut.
Yeah, well, he says something about, like,
He's like, the guys are going to give me shit because of all the stuff you've done. And she's like, what do you mean? He's like, I mean, it's
and
not
he's
like,
like, you know what I mean. It's not like it's a secret.
yeah. Which is, imagine your boyfriend saying that to you.
I think I would burst into tears immediately and like run away.
I'll tell you what, I'd be single after that night.
Yeah. McKay really puts Cassie through the ringer like throughout this season for literally just being in relationships before him, which really is what it comes down to. And she has to deal with all of the fallout from that.
Right. Not
her
only does she
relationship
have
with
to deal
McKay.
with like the shame of like something so vulnerable being like shared openly, but now she has to get the shit from her boyfriend.
Yeah.
So Cassie is obviously upset by this and ends up hanging out with Maddie. They take Molly together, and while high, Cassie flirts with this kid Daniel, who's like just a kid in their grade.
Yeah.
And she kind of makes a spectacle of herself on the carousel. Basically, she gets high and like masturbates. And
kind of inadvertently, but it ends up happening on the carousel, and she's really feeling all the sensations.
Yeah.
And it then kind of realizes that this is in public.
Yeah, and quite literally everyone is watching her.
Yeah, it's
which
really
is like
bad.
the thing that she's kind of been shamed for, like, is so far this entire season. So she's kind of like, oh my god, this is just another thing that people can like use against me.
Yeah, that scene gave me the most secondhand embarrassment out of any scene in the show.
It's
That was
rough.
I couldn't even my toes curled.
Yeah, again, that's me at Euphoria High, like waiting in line for the carousel, like what's going on over there? It's literally like a Smiling Friends bit. Like,
It literally is. So at the same time, Jules sees Cal Nate's dad at the carnival with his family, and she realizes that he's Nate's dad. Cal approaches her in private and asks her not to tell anyone what happened between them, and Jules agrees to stay quiet. She also is like, she tells Rue, like, Rue, that's the guy from the motel, and Rue's like, that's Nate's dad.
yeah.
And then like, no way, that's the guy. And then Jules is like, no, look, like, I'm gonna like go up to him and like watch how he reacts. And he like freaks out when he sees her.
Everyone basically is like, what's going on with those two?
And then Nate, who
is Batman,
who's Batman and seems to already know about their relationship, is like, yeah, that girl's like goes to my school, like she's 16, and is like clearly quite disgusted with his father.
I will say I do like when Cal goes up to Jules and he is like, first of all, I was like, girl, run. I'd be scared he would like try to fucking murder me. He meets her,
he actually kind of approaches her, I mean, to say gentleman is probably a bit of a stretch, but in as much of a gentlemanly way as he possibly can.
A non-threatening way.
And is just like, I did not know you were 16.
Right.
Like, please do not tell anybody. Like,
yeah, he's basically like, you'll ruin my life, my family. Like, please. And Jules is actually like, look, man, like, I'm not trying to ruin anyone's life.
Yeah.
Like, and she's like, I'm sorry I came up to you. That was probably stupid. Like, I'm not going to talk about it. Let's just kind of like let this go and move on.
But someone has not moved on.
No, someone is keeping that in their back pocket.
So Maddie and Nate's relationship also just completely devolves over the course of the night. Nate takes an issue with Maddie's very revealing outfit, which that's like the first reasonable thing. I will say, like, that was in my
What?
opinion, entirely reasonable.
But
Maddie
also,
shows
like-
up in this insane outfit.
Okay, but also she's been wearing insane outfits all season.
No, but this is like, come on.
I do like her argument where
it's a
she's like,
bra.
she's like, it's the carnival.
And he has a really great line where he's like, go home and change into something and come back when you're dressed like a person. They have a public argument sort of after Maddie takes Molly with Cassie. It's like a huge scene, which leads to Nate grabbing her by the throat when they're in private. And like basically like he has like a fit of anger and like chokes her.
Yeah.
And she's obviously like left incredibly disturbed by that. I will say she was acting insane. I'm not at all excusing him getting physical with her, but like he clearly cannot handle anger well at all. But he had every right to be angry with her.
Well, it's a perfect storm. I mean, she is on Molly. I mean, she's literally giggling as he's like yanking her by the arm, like very aggressively. So she is just like not aware of how seething, like he is furious at her.
She did just call his mother the C word in public.
Kat's plotline continues her shift towards like her sexual awakening, if you will. She spends time with her classmate Ethan, who is the most normal guy in this show.
Yes, and we've seen Kat and Ethan. They're like lab partners or something.
Yeah, they like sit next to each other.
And we've seen them interact throughout the season so far, and it's very clear that like they like each other and they have this really, really cute, flirty dynamic.
I love Ethan's character.
He is truly the one normal person in the show.
Yeah, he's like chill and down to earth and like just super normal and nice.
And like would be good for Kat.
Yeah, like it just genuinely likes Kat, and like they have a genuine connection. Like he does not lust after her at all. He just genuinely like talks to her like a person. So Ethan again clearly likes her and is trying to connect with her sincerely. However, she completely misreads the situation and assumes that he's only interested in he's interested basically in like someone else.
Which also crazy overreaction of Kat. She sees him, like she goes to get them like slushies.
Yeah.
And then
they basically get separated for like 2 seconds.
And then comes back and sees him talking to another girl who I think she sees this other girl as like very stereotypically beautiful.
Which she is. She's like, and you know, very petite and blonde and beautiful. And they're like smiling and talking to each other.
And Kat sees that. And like I do think that Barbie Ferreira acted the moment really well of like, you can see her just like struck by it when she sees them together. And so she literally just drops the slushies on the ground and walks away.
And she goes and like finds this random guy to hook up with.
Yeah.
But I will say I can find that ridiculously relatable where it's like you create a scenario in your head and you just lash out because
girl,
like
that
the reality
story of my life.
Yeah, like the reality of being hurt is so like the reality of rejection is so upsetting that you would rather put those walls up and lash out to prevent getting hurt.
Yes.
And Kat is so sensitive. She's so insecure. So you can just see like the second she can put that wall up, she will.
Yeah. And these kind of like impersonal hookups where she can pretend to be this like dominatrix version of herself are where she is now feeling comfortable because like she's not really being vulnerable with anybody.
Exactly.
So the biggest twist in the episode comes at the end. Jules finally goes to meet Tyler and instead finds Nate waiting for her.
Her face change is hilarious. She's like all smiley, and then the second she sees Nate, she's like she literally is disgusted.
He reveals that he has saved the nude photos that she sent Tyler and uses them to blackmail her into staying silent about her interaction with his dad. And we find out that his dad like recorded like their hookup tape. And Nate found the tape. And that's why he's been doing this whole thing, is to basically like get material on Jules so that she doesn't like say anything about his father. But also it's like she wasn't going to say anything.
Little does he know that she literally just spoke to the dad and was like, yep, let's just forget about the whole thing.
Exactly. And afterward, Jules goes to Rue's house needing comfort, and the episode ends with the two of them kissing, which I don't know if maybe it's supposed to be cathartic or not, but it kind of felt to me like Rue has been waiting for the opening where like Jules was vulnerable and needed her and kind of maybe
What, like,
took
takes
advantage.
advantage?
I'm
It's
not
funny,
saying like fully takes advantage of her, but I'm saying it's like Jules is like they're so clearly not in sync with with each other's like mental state.
Well, it's so funny you say that Rue is taking advantage of Jules, because I kind of read it the opposite way, where like Jules needs comfort.
Okay, no, that too.
And
also,
yes, like, but I agree with you where it's like, I don't find their love story. I find their love story to be like doomed from the start.
100%.
Like when people are like, oh my God, like they're a couple. I'm like, honestly, I feel like that's their whole thing, is that they're not
meant to be together.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna lie, this is around where I start to find the Rue and Jules dynamic kind of annoying. So episode 5 is Maddie's episode. Maddie was a pageant queen as a little girl, and she learned to love being admired for her beauty. After her mother pulls her out of pageants, Maddie loses interest in school and she just doesn't really possess ambition in the traditional sense beyond just wanting a comfortable life. That is presented as her goal, is like to just secure a comfortable life without kind of doing anything.
Yeah, she basically kind of wants to be like a trophy wife.
Yes. And we also see how she got pulled into her intense relationship with Nate and why she's so attached to him, even when that attachment is clearly very destructive for her.
So in the present day, the characters are all facing fallout from their actions at the carnival. At school, adults discover the marks on Maddie's neck. Maddie is taken in for questioning, and her mother decides to press charges against Nate. Even so, Maddie is still emotionally tangled up with him, and there is a clear logic gap between what everyone else can see and what Maddie wants to believe about their relationship.
Rue's storyline centers on how serious her feelings for Jules are getting. Early in the episode, Rue tells her mother that she and Jules are together, even though they're not.
They're really not.
No, they like kissed, and it's still very uncertain.
Yeah.
But she's trying to protect, obviously, what she wants to happen. At the same time, Ali, who is Rue's sponsor in NA, continues pushing Rue to be honest with herself, and he warns her that relationships that are this intense can be really unstable, especially when she's still so early in her recovery and when she's so young. Like this is how you get tangled up when you're 16.
Yeah.
And that warning really gets under Rue's skin because she very badly wants to believe that Jules is the thing that is making her better.
Jules, meanwhile, is starting to feel the pressure of being treated like Rue's sole reason to stay clean, which she is. She is literally the sole reason why Rue is sober.
Mm-hmm.
Aside from the fact that Fezco just decided not to sell her drugs that one time. Jules is already shaken by Nate's blackmail, and when Rue keeps pulling her into conversations about like being sober, Jules gets frustrated that Rue doesn't really grasp how serious her own situation with Nate and Cal is.
Yeah.
Which, like, to be fair to Rue though, like Jules is being very
cagey.
Yeah, like she's not really explaining it. All she's doing is like kind of being ambiguous that like the encounter with Tyler went wrong.
Mm-hmm. So all Rue knows is like, okay, that like went really poorly, but she doesn't really understand.
She has no idea that she's
what's
being
going
blackmailed.
on. Yeah. And it's really clear that Rue like sees Jules as her emotional center. Well, and Jules is starting to feel trapped by that, basically.
Yeah,
it's starting to
absolutely.
get suffocating for her, which is understandable, and it is suffocating.
It's that meme where the girl's like, I got a lot of shit going on, just hold the fuck up.
Yes.
Like that's literally Jules dealing with like blackmail and being trans and like,
dude, on all ends.
Yeah,
like Jules is facing
she's
like
got
horrible
a lot.
shit.
Yeah.
So Cassie and McKay's relationship is calmer for a little bit following the carnival. McKay apologizes to her for how he acted, and Cassie seems willing to move forward with him. Also, Kat's storyline just is continuing her shift into a more detached and sexually performative version of herself. She has become cold towards Ethan, who is extremely confused.
like literally has no idea what shifted in their dynamic.
And he's also like quite hurt by how she's treating him because he really likes her.
Yeah. So the emotional climax of the episode is between Maddie and Nate. Despite everything that happened, Maddie goes to meet Nate at a motel and they slip right back into their same old ways. So even though the outside world is finally seeing Nate for who he is, Maddie is still drawn to the idea that the two of them are like star-crossed lovers. And it's kind of like an us against the world type of relationship.
That's another thing and probably another reason why I don't love Maddie or Alexa Demi in this role. I have such a hard time buying the chemistry between Maddie and Nate. Like, I don't really find that as actors they have very much chemistry at all.
All right, episode 6. This is McKay's prologue. So we learn about the pressure McKay's father put on him to succeed as a football player, and that he has been taught to suppress his emotions and measure his worth through discipline, toughness, and achievement, which helps explain why he is so guarded and so worried about how other people view him. By the time he gets into college, it is very clear that the future he has been working toward, which is like being a professional football player at the NFL, is most likely not going to happen. He's like basically benched his entire freshman season. And that realization leaves him like feeling completely directionless. And I
love this plot line.
Yeah, it's so relatable. I mean, even like if you're not an athlete, not even who cannot relate to, but like there are so many kids who have been put on a pedestal in their hometown, especially like a more close hometown like this setting seems.
Indicated that it's a pretty small town.
Yes. And like, you know, they're kind of set up to go the distance, and then when they get to college or they get to their university or wherever they're going in their field, they're like, oh shit, I'm not even the best here.
Yeah.
There are people 10 times better than me. I think the one thing, if I could change one about season 1 of Euphoria, is I wish we spent more time with McKay.
I agree. I think we get a decent amount of time with him.
I think we get a lot of time with him with Cassie. I really wish, like, when this episode happened and we saw how much pressure his father puts on him, and even like the little clips we see where, you know, he's talking to Nate's father's like, you got to push farther to, you know, get off the bench this season. He's kind of like, oh, you know, it's
like, I'm trying.
Yeah. And he's like, no, you're not trying hard enough. And it's kind of like, what the fuck do you want him to do, man? He's a freshman.
There's this like really, I wouldn't say heart-wrenching, but like hard to watch conversation that McKay has with his father in this episode, where he's trying to explain to his father, like, Dad, like, I'm not going pro. Like, I now recognize that it is not an option for me. Like,
right. Like, we need to readjust the plan. And his dad is
not having it. And it is really, really hard to watch. Of like, oh my God, there's like, you're just not getting through to him. Like, he's not understanding.
Right. And also like kind of, okay, so now what? Like, you're just going to set yourself up for failure. Yeah. I really like McKay's character.
So in the present day, Nate is suspended from school for assaulting Maddie. By when he choked her.
Yes.
Like, everyone knows about it now.
Yeah.
And Nate is kind of like a pariah.
And there's an open investigation. So school basically is like, until this investigation is closed, like, you can't come back.
Yeah. And he's trying to regain control of the situation, especially around Maddie. And so
like the vigilante he is,
puts on his cape and goes back to Tyler's apartment. Tyler is the guy that Maddie hooked up with in the pool that Nate almost beat to death.
Oh, he's in a neck brace.
And this is like a month later.
And he's like, I can't see out of this eye. It's so fucked. It's funny.
It's so bad. And he pressures him into taking the blame for choking Maddie. So he's making this guy say, I sexually assaulted and then choked this woman.
Yeah.
Not like he did nothing of the sort.
Right.
And then Nate blackmails Jules into backing up that version of events with the police. So he basically says, like, I'm going to reveal everything, like the nudes you sent, the video with my father, like whatever, unless you go to the police and say, like, I was an eyewitness and saw this
basically
happen.
Give a false report.
Yeah, and like saw that it was this guy.
So fucked up. This poor kid. I mean,
also Nate fully like in his bat cave.
No,
like,
literally,
to, like figure out how to deal with it's
like
just
swindles the police. Yes. It's insane. So Cassie and McKay's relationship drama takes up a large part of this episode. Cassie goes with McKay to a Halloween party at his college, but he makes her change into a more conservative costume. That night, McKay is violently hazed by his frat brothers in front of Cassie. Like, they're about to have sex, and then these brothers come in and like basically assault McKay.
Pin him to the floor. They're like dry humping him, screaming at him.
And McKay's
like,
naked.
It's like horrifying.
It's
It's
awful.
actually really, and Cassie's like screaming. She has no idea what's going on.
Yeah, she's terrified.
And then they just like rip apart his room and like leave.
Yeah.
And it's like this whole sequence of events I thought was very disturbing in the way that they were supposed to be disturbing. Like I thought very well done.
Totally. So completely humiliated, he then initiates aggressive sex with Cassie.
To try to like, I guess, reassert his masculinity in
Yeah.
the situation.
And Cassie is like so clearly uncomfortable. She ends up crying. The next night she attends a high school party at Daniel's house and ends up spending some time with him.
That's also the guy from the carnival who she
Yes.
was like kind of flirty with.
Yes. They start kissing. They had like kissed once before this. They're like making out, and she refuses to go further with him, and he retaliates by insulting her and belittling her, basically saying like,
In the most cutting,
I cried.
I cried too.
Awful.
I cried too. It was so hard to watch. He basically says to her, I'm gonna misquote him.
Yeah.
But like, oh, like anytime you think a guy is actually interested in you beyond like having sex with you, like you're an idiot.
Yeah.
Like the only reason anyone would even be interested in interacting with you is to try to, it's like for your body. Like you have no value beyond that. And like you're dumb for thinking you do.
And Cassie is left there like just silently crying. And because like, what do you say to that?
God.
It's
It was
so
brutal.
awful.
It was so brutal.
And he's like spitting venom at her. It's so awful. I mean, it's hard not to just like immediately like Cassie because she's just shit on this entire season. But it's moments like that where you were like, give this poor girl a break.
Yeah.
Like literally, what has she done to deserve any of this? She has done nothing but like
She's
be
only
a regular girl.
She's only shown to like be kind and be like a generally nice person who just like maybe is a little bit of a pushover when it comes to guys and like values their attention or whatever, but like not even in a way that's harmful. So Rue and Jules are also at the Halloween party. Jules is acting unusually reckless and distant, and Rue can just like tell something is off. She doesn't know what, but she's like, and to be fair, Jules is being like so weird all night.
She's like intentionally like getting ridiculously drunk and weird, and she's like almost manic, and Rue is like, girl, that's my job.
And also Rue being dead sober, just like watching Jules get more and more drunk, and it's killing her.
Yeah.
So Rue spends most of the night just like watching and worrying about Jules and how much she's drinking and trying to like piece together what's wrong.
Also, this is the episode where Lexi decides to speak.
So true.
Quite literally, when I tell you she's in episode 1 and then like kind of fucks off for the next 4 or 5 episodes.
Her friendship with Rue is kind of weird. Like we're told that like, oh, they used to be really close, but they've kind of grown apart.
Right. Like you do with any like friend from childhood.
Exactly. But like even in their scenes together, I feel like we never really get a sense of like the nature of their friendship or the context of it.
Kat and Ethan are at the party and they end up hooking up in one of the bathrooms.
Can I just say the sexiest scene of the entire show?
Yes.
Kat and Ethan's romance is in my opinion, like the heart of the whole season.
They have great chemistry.
They have amazing chemistry. This is like the only sex scene that I'm like, okay, that's sexy. Like that's like an actually sexy scene.
Yeah.
And loved this part. Loved it.
So they're hooking up, but when Ethan steps away, Kat again leaves instead of staying and trying to deepen their obvious connection, which was so frustrating.
It's frustrating, but it's also like, but you get that, like,
yeah, I mean,
she's self-destructive. Like she's letting her insecurities get the better of her and not acknowledging that like this guy can actually really like you.
Kat has this really great like line earlier before they hook up where she's like, "Why are you talking to me?" And he's like. And he's so confused. He's like, what? Because I like talking to you. And she's like, if you want to have sex with me, like, just tell me. But, like, don't act like you like me because that's stupid. And he's kind of like, what the fuck? Like, but you kind of do, like, I mean, she's coming off super nasty. Like, again, she is also kind of spitting venom because that's her defense mechanism. But you can't help but, like, be like, oh, girl, like, but he does like you.
Yeah. And I, like, when they actually finally hook up and she at first is kind of like mean to him about that he's not that experience.
When he's a virgin.
And now Kat is so experienced because she's hooked up with like 2 people.
Also, I was like, it's so shocking when Ethan's like, yeah, I'm a virgin, until you remember they're all like 16.
No, yeah, because you're like, wait, no one in Euphoria is a virgin. But oh yeah,
but
like
they are in
teenagers
high
mostly
school.
haven't had sex.
Yeah, and that's like normal.
Yeah.
It's weird when you've like had guys run a train on you.
So the episode ends with Maddie arriving at the party with Nate, who is now vindicated since Tyler has taken the blame.
Tyler has been imprisoned.
Poor Tyler.
No, literally.
The real victim of this season.
I hope he comes back in season 3.
True. Dude, Tyler's revenge.
Oh, please. I would die to see that. I would literally die.
He's also played by Lucas Gage, who like I think does in his scenes like does kind of understand a little bit of the humor in it. Like he really plays out.
Yeah, he's very scared of Nate and it's very funny.
And Cassie returns home to realize that her period is late. Dun dun dun.
I was about to do it.
Which typically I have a thing. I don't really know why. I don't really have an explanation for it. I have a thing where like I just don't like pregnancy storylines in teen shows or in most shows. Like I just don't like pregnancy storylines. So I remember initially watching this and being like, of course she's pregnant.
Yeah.
And now it's going to be about pregnancy. But as we head into the next episode, which is Cassie's episode, I think they handled this plot line the best that Euphoria has handled any sensitive topic.
So like we said, episode 7 starts with Cassie. It shows Cassie and Lexi growing up with a father that they just absolutely adored. And they were basically made to watch his life unravel after he gets into a car accident, which then leads him into getting a drug addiction to painkillers. Eventually, he abandons the family, and through voiceover, Rue explains that Cassie wants more than anything to be loved and valued, which often leads her vulnerable to being used or hurt by boys.
We also see a montage in this opening of different, like all of Cassie's ex-boyfriends, like on their phones, like basically being like, no, like we should make a sex tape.
Yeah, like coercing her and
like,
stuff like that.
And she's like clearly not cool with it. And is kind of like, okay, like if that's like really what you want. And it's so just like heartbreaking because we know that later all of that is used against her.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving on. Back in episode 7, Rue has now fallen into a severe depressive episode and can barely get out of bed. She's barely eating. She's binging reality TV, specifically season 4 of Love Island, which
Love it.
love. And she is struggling to do basic things like go to the bathroom. It also gets more explicit that Rue has bipolar disorder, which the show is hinted at up until now, but has never really explicitly acknowledged, which helps connect her addiction into a larger pattern in her mental health. I think that they handled the depression and kind of Rue's pathology around her own depression incredibly well.
Yeah, I think
it's one of the more
Rue,
realistic depictions of depression I've seen.
Totally. I think anything with Rue, aside from the Jules romance story, is like probably the most realistic in what it's handling.
Yeah.
Like Rue's drug addiction, her mental health, her episodes, like everything like that. Even like her relationship with Ali. So a big part of Rue's storyline is her trying to figure out what happened between Jules and Nate. With Lexi's help, she pieces together that Nate catfished Jules and has some kind of leverage over her. Once Rue understands that Nate is behind a lot of Jules's recent behavior, she becomes fixated on doing something about it and goes to Fez with a plan. This I found very lazy. She puts it together way too fast.
And way too easily.
Yeah, I mean, she
and
literally...
like the leaps of logic that she had to take to put it all together, like, don't really work. So Rue asks Fez to threaten Nate, and Fez is originally like, no.
Yeah, he's kind of like, no, I'm not gonna do that.
Don't really want to get involved in this, actually.
And also, like, Fez is a drug dealer, but he's like not this like drug lord gangster.
No. But when Nate shows up to basically Fez like deals drugs out of this like cool ass gas station that like
very
everyone
aesthetically
goes to.
pleasing,
very aesthetically pleasing, incredibly unrealistic. And Nate like stops by for something, and Fez warns Nate to stop messing with Rue and Jules. He's basically like, I don't know what's going on, but I know it's something, and like leave them alone.
Yeah.
And I did kind of like, though, because we don't really take Fez seriously ever. Like, he's very much kind of like played for laughs a little bit. Like, he's just so chill and laid back and whatever. And Nate says something like, what are you gonna do? And Fez, like, very serious, is like, I'll kill you. Like,
yeah.
I really liked that. Nate does not respond directly, but he ends up retaliating by anonymously reporting Fez to the police. So he like does the most pussy thing he possibly could have
He's
done.
such a bitch in so many ways.
But it's also like, dude, you're Batman. Like, what? Really? Like, okay.
Yeah.
I kind of expected him to retaliate in a more creative way.
Well,
But
I mean, I actually think that's so on brand for like an abusive man to like, he's going to pick on people that he knows won't fight back, like Tyler or Maddie.
True.
But when someone who could like really pose a threat like Fez comes in, he's going to take the easy way out.
You're so right. You're so right. And this forces Fez and his partner Ashtray, who's like hilariously a little kid, to scramble and get rid of all of their drugs before their house is searched.
Jules' storyline mostly happens away from East Highland. She goes to visit a friend from her old school and spends some time away from Rue, which gives her a breath of fresh air, basically. She has this like new sense of freedom from all the pressure she's been under back in the other town. By the end of the episode, though, she texts Rue and says she has missed her, reopening the connection just as Rue is basically like at her lowest point in the depression.
Jules also like hooks up with a girl when she's in the city, when it's like, it's this thing of like, oh, she's going to the city.
Yeah, they're like, how are the suburbs?
Yeah, but they like never specify which city or which suburbs.
Yeah.
But clearly like her having that experience has like made her more comfortable to acknowledge her feelings for Rue. Cassie's storyline in this episode is about her pregnancy. She's discovered she's pregnant and talks to her mom, who I did like how supportive her mom was. Like, obviously it's like sweet to see. And I know that like if I was in that situation at like 16, 17, like my parents would have been supportive too, but it is just like a reassurance. I don't know.
Honestly,
like I'm not a teenager anymore, but you see that and you're like, oh, like that's so nice.
Aside from the men in the show, Euphoria has like some of the most supportive character parents I've ever seen.
True. She later tells McKay, who immediately gets like overwhelmed and panics and tells her that she should get an abortion, and basically is like, it's not even an option. Like, if you decide to have this kid, like, I want nothing to do with you, basically. And she like has just told him she's pregnant, and his reaction is so negative that it like, it's really sad.
It's so heartbreaking. I mean, he immediately is like, what, do you seriously think we can raise a baby? Like, are you stupid? And he's like, I'm in school, like you're in high school. And she's kind of like so overwhelmed by him just immediately like just going on the attack, really. And she, when she's like, I didn't say I was gonna have the baby, but like it would have been nice to just like imagine it for a second. And you're like, oh my God, because
you poor thing.
You can kind of tell too that maybe she thinks this could be like a turning point for them. Like she could finally like
you so see like, oh, like you had this fantasy of like, okay, maybe it's inopportune, but like that you guys will come together and like
have a family
and like you see that fantasy just crushed. And it's that moment where she's like, well, like, can we just like pretend for a second like everything's gonna be fine? And it's really heartbreaking.
I know.
And the way that he just offers her, like, no support, like it's all about him. It's immediately all about him, and like there's no acknowledgement of like how she must be feeling at all.
And like even at the end when he's like, you're gonna be a great mother someday, but like just not now. And it's like, bro, that is like just not the thing to say right now.
Not the thing to say.
Meanwhile, Kat is leaning into a more detached, empowered persona that she has built online. But during a camp session with a high-paying client, something about the interaction unnerves her, and she very quickly shuts it down. Around the same time, Maddie calls her out for how much she has changed, which pushes Kat to confront this new version of herself and like whether or not it actually makes her empowered or if it's like just an act she's putting on. I do like that Maddie is like, you're being a bad friend, because Kat totally is.
She's being so mean to everybody, and then Maddie's like, why are you being like this?
Or
like,
how about earlier, I forget why, but Maddie calls Kat crying, and Kat is like with a random man, like getting ready to have sex with him. And Maddie is like, Kat, I need you. Like, please come over. And she's like, I'm busy. And just like basically hangs up. I was like, that is like girl code 101.
Yeah.
Like, your friend calls you crying, you leave the guy you're with. So I like that Maddie was like, what the fuck is up with you? Like, you're being mean, and you're also been like a shit friend lately.
I like how they have, like, we have two characters, Kat and Cassie, who are both sort of reliant on male attention for like their own confidence and validation, but it's completely different.
It's almost like they're foils of each other.
They are. Where Kat, it's all about like, Cassie has always known that she's had this like power, like the power of her beauty. And she has been taught from a young age that that is kind of the only thing she has going for her. And while Kat has never thought that that's something she is going for her, and is now discovering that she actually does have this quote unquote power of female beauty and female sexuality, and kind of taking the like a really harmful route to explore it, where Cassie, it's more of like, is fulfilling the thing that she was almost like trained to be.
Yeah, again, in a way, it's both of them like kind of performing this self-harm to themselves.
Yes, that's exactly it. But yeah, no, I thought that was interesting, because even just like talking about their storylines aloud, they can almost seem a little like too similar, but they're completely different.
Yeah,
because they're just such different girls.
Yeah.
So episode 8, the finale, does not center around a single character in the same way as earlier episodes, but the emotional core of the finale is really Rue and Jules. The episode is partly structured around everything leading up to the school's winter formal. It's a high school show, of course. It has to end with a dance.
I was going to say, end with prom. I always have to have a prom.
And Rue is trying to reconnect with Jules and hold on to the idea that the two of them can still have something together. Jules, after returning from the city, is more openly affectionate, but there's still sort of this like tension there of she's acting almost a little manic again. As Rue is starting to sense that Jules desires a bigger, more exciting life than, and all Rue really wants is like stability.
It's all she can have at this point.
And Jules is like so thrilled by this like transformative experience she had in the city, and is like, and we need to go, and like we need to experience it together. And in Rue's head, it's like, yeah, but like I just kind of need like someone to be here for me.
It's
right
just
now.
like they're so not compatible. I mean, everything that Jules is asking for is like totally relatable for like a young girl. Like,
no, 100%.
She literally is like, I want to go out and like live life and like get all these new experiences. Where where Rue is like, yeah, I need someone who's gonna like settle with me.
Yeah.
And like be okay with kind of this most like a very boring, mundane life, because I have lived my crazy life and I almost died.
Yeah.
So Nate and Maddie's relationship is falling apart again. Maddie confronts him about the photos that she found on his phone, the penis photos.
Which also like, finally.
Right. He evades the question, and Maddie finds and steals the tape of Cal and Jules that Nate has in his possession. And we see her watching it later in the episode, just like in complete shock.
Love how that also like never comes to fruition ever.
No,
I love how that was like such a huge moment that like ends up meaning nothing.
The biggest thing I hate about the end of season 1 of Euphoria is so many plot points just kind of stop.
Yeah, and they're just abandoned.
Yeah, even like that last episode where McKay and Cassie have that interaction about the abortion. They don't ever interact in this episode. Like ever. And I was like, oh, okay, I guess that's done. We're done with them.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's insane.
So Cassie does end up going through with the abortion with support from her mother and Lexi. And this episode treats the storyline, I think, with a lot of reverence and very quietly, with focus on Cassie's emotional turmoil over the decision. I love the shot of her like lying down to get the procedure done. and it holds on her face for a really long time, and she looks so young. I mean, she's completely barefaced. And Sydney Sweeney, I think she was like 20 when she filmed season 1. I want to say like 20 or 21, but she looks so
She looks like she's like
young.
16.
She looks like she's 16, exactly.
Yeah.
I found it very affecting. I think they handled it with a lot of sensitivity, which, gonna be completely honest, I don't really think that Euphoria handles much subject matter with anything other than a sledgehammer. But I thought that this was done incredibly well and very respectfully.
So Kat's storyline is one of the few that moves in a more hopeful direction. At the winter formal, she seeks out Ethan and apologizes for the way she's treated him. He accepts, and the two of them kiss. And I have to include, this kind of comes from at the Halloween party, she ends up hooking up with Daniel, who they, in a throwaway part, they tell us that they were like middle school crushes for each other.
And he dumped her.
Yes.
And it like hugely affected her confidence in herself.
Yes. So I think her hooking up with Daniel kind of brings this like, oh my gosh, like I finally have him back. And Daniel's like, I don't even remember. I don't even know you. Like he literally is like, wait, what's your name again? Like, I don't remember who you are.
Yeah.
And I think that really is kind of like the turning point for her, where she's like, wait, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
Yeah. Kat's storyline is really the only one that has like a perfect ending, like a
I
perfect
agree.
arc.
It is her kiss with Ethan is nothing short of adorable. It's
so
cute.
good.
It's so satisfying to watch them finally get together. The two actors have such insane chemistry. Like, loved this arc for Kat.
Yeah, I love them together. I love this story. I love the way it ends for both of them.
A lot of the finale's other kind of important scenes also happen at the winter formal. Rue finally confronts Nate and threatens to expose his father and pushes back against him more directly than anyone else really has in the entire show. He's pretty shocked by it when she comes right out and like acknowledges what's been going on.
Yeah.
And is just like, can you please leave us alone? Nate in turn, because again, like no 17-year-old boy has like this amount of insight, like ever. No 16-year-old boy has ever been like this intuitive.
Yeah.
He like immediately picks up on like the exact dynamic between Rue and Jules and is like, you don't understand. Like, I know Jules. Like, I spent so long talking to her. Like, Jules is gonna like get out of here and achieve bigger and better things, and you're not. And like, you're just gonna have to stand back and like let her go because she's gonna be an important person. And like, you know that you're the one holding her back. And it's like, how the hell did you pick up on this? Like that is exactly Rue's fear right now.
I
Like,
swear
there's
to
no
God,
way.
Nate Jacobs is like an X-Men. Like he has like some Charles Xavier mind reading powers.
And he is so just like stoic and says it with such like
He says it
viciousness.
so confidently.
Yeah.
Like it's insane. And they're just like, bye. Just walks away.
I'm just like, okay, no 17-year-old like football player has ever even absorbed that much about another person.
No, yeah.
But it really gets in Rue's head, obviously, which matters because her confidence and her relationship with Jules is already incredibly fragile.
Maddie and Nate spend much of the episode dancing with different partners, including the girl Nate brings. He is grabbing her bare butt on the dance floor, which I wrote, why would she let him do that?
Yeah.
So they're dancing. They're basically just trying to provoke each other's jealousy, but eventually come to a stopping point and decide to end their relationship. Mainly Maddie does. She basically has this great line where she's like, yeah, I think we're just bad for each other.
Yeah.
Like, so maybe it's time to call it quits.
It does, in my opinion, kind of come out of nowhere. Like, there's no...
For her, yes.
For her, for him, like, it just doesn't... I get that they wanted to, like, close the Nate and Maddie arc, but it fully comes out of nowhere. Like, where is this, like, sudden show of maturity from both of them coming from?
I don't know. I guess the only thing you could think of is, like, Maddie finding the tape, but like also what does that have to do with her relationship with Nate?
And
I don't know.
And also like the tape is never acknowledged. Like we see Maddie watching it and being shocked by it, but like she never asks him about it.
No,
which like would that not be the first thing of like, hey, we need to talk?
Yeah, what is in your bedroom?
Yeah, like what is going on with your family?
Yeah,
like
yeah. Do I need to call the cops?
So the biggest emotional turn of the episode comes after the dance, where Jules tells Rue that she's in love with her and asks Rue to run away with her. For a moment, it seems like they're actually going to leave. They go to the station and they're right on the edge of leaving the town, but Rue backs out at the last second. kind of she just like gets overwhelmed because she's like, yeah, like she literally kind of offhandedly is like, we should get out of here. And then Jules is like, yeah, no, like we should run away.
Yeah. And then she's like, I actually can't.
Yeah, like I actually really can't.
Yeah.
And Jules is completely, I mean, but I guess in a way that's realistic for a teenager, like not understanding.
Jules, I find to be a bit of a selfish character.
Yeah.
In the way where she is constantly like, I get there's a lot of pressure with her relationship with Rue, but I feel like there are so many times where like she's like, Rue, it's gonna be fine. It's like, do you not understand? She OD'd 5 months ago. Like, this is not someone who you can like pick up and just kind of do impulsive shit with. Like, she is someone who kind of needs to like be on her own for a bit.
100%. Rue backs out and like the train is like leaving and Rue's like, actually, like I can't.
Yeah, she's later like, I can't go.
Like my family is gonna worry about me, and also they like are constantly worried about me. This is gonna like send my mom into a complete spiral.
Also,
understandably.
Yeah, like.
And Jules ends up getting on the train alone, and Rue returns home devastated and alone because she completely feels like, oh, so you are choosing like the possibility of another life over staying with me.
Yeah,
which is exactly what she's doing.
Oh yeah.
And Rue returns home and breaks her sobriety, and then we get a very controversial final scene to the show, which I liked as a music video. Great music video. I don't necessarily think it was like a fitting ending for the season, especially when so many plot lines are just like abandoned.
I liked it until she started singing with the song.
Agreed.
And then I was like, oh, I forgot she sings. Like, I don't like that. I wish it was just like the song in the background. I could even do with like the choreography and her like being lifted up by the people.
Her like actually singing made it
it ruined it. Yeah, a little bit.
So it's like she takes drugs again, and then she like, I don't know, does a line of something.
Yeah.
And then it turns into like a music video with like all of these different people dancing in kind of like a weird way, and then Zendaya's like singing.
It's this like labyrinth song that Zendaya's on the track.
I'm not gonna lie, I do really like the song. The song is really good.
It's a banger.
I actually downloaded it after watching
No,
this
I
episode.
love the song, but yeah, her singing it kind of is like, wait, what's going on? And especially because there's so many like surrealist moments in Euphoria. So I was like, oh, I can get with this. Like at the end, it's, representing like kind of like the spinning room. Like, oh, it's representing her high and stuff like that. And then she started singing and I was like, why are you doing that?
I'm with you. I lost it when she started singing. That's kind of when I'm like, okay, this is getting dumb.
Yeah.
Like, especially when it's like, we really could have used this time to like wrap up some of the other plot lines.
Well, this brings me to a very interesting point that I have about Euphoria. So interestingly enough, Sam Levinson, I saw a video of him on the red carpet for season 3, and someone asked him like, is this the last season? And he kind of a dick answer, but he was like, I've written every season like Euphoria like it is the last season.
That's such a stupid answer, but also no, you
absolutely have not. I think Euphoria suffers a little bit of the Stranger Things curse, where it was really good season 1. I think it should have been a mini series. I think it should just end. You could have even ended it with this ending, because
and I feel like people would have accepted it.
Oh, totally. I think a big part of like the plot lines in Euphoria are these like cycles that are so hard to break. So like the cycle of addiction, an abusive relationship, like these like getting with all these boys and like
seeking validation, and it's never enough.
Exactly. So even like the storylines like Nate and Maddie and Cassie and Kat's her arc ends in a nice way. Like that's a nice little bow on that. But even Cassie, kind of like her ending being a bit more open-ended, it's kind of like, well, yeah, like
what's
is
next?
this
Who
really
knows?
next for her? Yeah. And Nate and Maddie like ending their relationship, but it's like, I think they will like come back together. Yeah. And especially Rue like ending the season with her breaking her sobriety. It's like, yeah, that is what drug addicts do. Like when you finally think they're on the up, they just fall right back down. Yeah. And I think that actually would have been a really great way to end the show. especially because I'm not the biggest fan of
Kind of
season
agree.
2.
Also, I mean, I remember after season 1 finished, there was like all this discourse about like, does the music video mean that Rue died?
Right.
I was
yeah.
always the truther of like, no, no, because they're coming back for season 2.
I was just like, no, I just thought it literally was showing her like getting high and,
But also
and breaking her sobriety.
Yeah, but also I'm like, I feel like the ending would have, the music video thing like would have maybe meant more if she died.
Yeah.
Because it kind of, yes, Euphoria does get surrealist. This is like the most surrealist it gets, with a character literally singing a song.
Yeah, definitely.
I just could have done without her singing.
If she hadn't done that, it would have been so much better.
100% agreed. I actually really like the choreography and like the mood of the whole thing.
Same.
Yeah, it was really just when it was like, oh, and she's singing. Oh, okay.
Yeah. I was like, all right, why is this a music video now?
But yeah, I will say, watching it again, and I watched it kind of in a binge. I watched it over like the course of 2 or 3 days. I enjoyed it so much more watching it now than I did when I first watched it. I feel like the first time I watched it, I was only able to see the very kind of glaring issues that I had with the show. Like, I really did take an issue with Kat's plot line. I thought that there are just far too many penises, and I'm sorry, but like, we're not showing any of, like, why aren't we seeing Jacob Elordi's penis?
I thought we do.
Not really.
Okay.
And it's like a shadow, and also it's like
it's not like the other penises where they're right in your face.
Yeah. Where I'm like, I felt like so much of it was shock value, and I had a hard time looking past that, and I still feel that way. But watching it again now, I was able to recognize a lot more of the merits of the show. And I also think it's a show that does well in a binge. Like, watching it week to week, I liked it so much less than I liked it watching it in one go. Favorite characters, Cassie and Kat, I would say. They're probably the characters I consistently liked the most and was like the most intrigued by their storylines. And Nate.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think
just
mine...
because he's like Batman.
I would say mine are... Yeah, I would say... I do like Rue too, because I think her whole thing with her drug addiction is, one, very interesting to watch, but I also find it to be the most grounded in reality.
I agree with you on that. I think I was just so put off by her whole thing with Jules.
I agree.
I got very disinterested in it.
I would say my top 2 are probably Nate and Kat. I like Cassie, don't get me wrong, but I think my like for her character just comes mainly from like me just wanting to like give her a hug, because she's just so shit on this whole time.
I think what gets me about her is like, she is, all she does is take shit for the entire literally the whole season, but it's all in like a deeply realistic and resonant way.
She's a very relatable character.
I knew that girl.
Oh, I had a girl I went to school with who literally was Cassie Howard. Yeah. And like, it was so upsetting to see the way that this poor girl was treated.
Who kind of like didn't really do anything to harm anybody.
No, like literally her only sin is like developing early.
Yeah.
And being gorgeous and like making the wrong choice in like a first boyfriend. Mm-hmm. And now like when people walk down the hallway, they whisper about how she might be pregnant or how she's a huge slut. And you're like, oh my God, like, leave this poor girl alone.
Exactly.
Like, she quite literally has never done anything wrong.
And I also think it is extremely, extremely telling. I mean, not going to get too much into it. We'll talk about it next week. In season 2, the whole plot line with her and Nate, how every viewer just immediately turned on her.
Yes.
And she became the most hated, the most hated character. And it's like, you were waiting for an excuse to dislike her, because she does something that is, I mean, it's not cool and it's the wrong thing to do. And like, yeah, she's like hurting her friend with her actions, but she's a teenager and she's stupid. Because
and also,
you're stupid at those ages.
You and I talked about it. Like, that is something that teenage girls do.
Yes. The way that audiences turned on her character so insanely is like, wow, it actually, if anything, proves the point that the show is making about how girls like Cassie are treated.
Yeah.
They also do kind of like completely ruin her character, but that's beside my point.
Right.
For now.
We'll get into that in the next episode.
Get to there. Yeah.
Yeah, I have to say, like, I'm not going to talk about season 2 because I'll save that for when we do that episode. But something that I really just loved watching about season 1 that like I don't think will happen in season 3 and definitely does not happen in season 2 is, again, like there is so much style. You can tell that this show,
drenched in style.
it has such a unique character that was so important in pop culture. Like you can really tell that this is just its own thing. It wasn't trying to copy anybody. I mean, okay, I guess there was some Israeli show. I'd have to watch it to see if it's
apparently it's really a remake in name only.
okay. But like, yeah, the music and the characters and the design and the cinematography, everything about it is so specific to Euphoria season 1. And to the point where like someone could be walking down the street in an outfit and I'd be like, that is so Euphoria season 1 coded. And I don't know, I really love when a show just dedicates itself to the look, to the feel. And I think
no, I'm with you. I'm a huge part of like the medium is the message.
Yeah.
And style is substance.
Yeah.
And I agree with you on that front.
And I think it's easy to be like, oh, people like Euphoria because it's got like the colorful lights and it's got the glittery makeup and stuff like that. But I mean, it does have really interesting characters.
And also like people are allowed to like things for the aesthetics.
Yeah.
Of it. Like that's okay.
Yeah. But also it's more than that. But the way that they work together is so important. And yeah, it again, I'll share my opinions on season 2 when we do that episode, but it makes me very not looking forward to season 3 because it seems like it's got a completely different aesthetic
than seasons 1 or 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, overall enjoyed it more than I did when I watched it when I was a teenager. So
what would it be out of 10 for you?
That's so hard because I feel like I would give different episodes different ratings.
Totally. I was kind of skipping my way through some episodes.
Like there are like some 4 or 5 out of 10 episodes, and then like something like the Carnival episode, I give that like a 7 out of 10. I think the whole show wise, you know what, I am not going to deny that I enjoyed myself, and I'm not going to be a hater this time. I'm going to give it a 6.5 out of 10.
I was going to say, I think I'm going to give like a 7 out of 10. Yeah, I like genuinely found myself really enjoying this watch. There's definitely some stuff that I would take out or some stuff that I don't love, but most of the time I was like, oh, this is much better than I remember.
And I'm interested in discussing season 2 next week.
Oh my God, get ready for me to be a hater.
Oh, girl, me too. So next week we will be discussing Euphoria season 2. If you enjoyed this episode, please check back in. We're going to be so hatery.
We're gonna be mean. Like I want to make Sam Levinson cry. I know he's watching.
Our mortal enemy, Sam Levinson.
Literally. And then we're gonna watch The Idol, and then we're gonna be even more mean.
Dude, oh, that's gonna be a fun one. That's gonna be a fun little retrospective. Oh yeah, no, okay. We'll get into it. But thank you guys so much for watching. If you would like to watch along, check out Euphoria season 2 this week and check back in with us next week, and we can all rip it apart together.
Yeah.
I'm Olivia.
I'm Maggie.
Bye.
Bye.